In just a few hours, One Championship returns to Lumpinee Stadium in Thailand for One Fight Night 25. And as we recently found out, when I say recently at the time of recording, very recently, Lumpinee Stadium is also going to host one of the biggest cards of the year for One Championship, that being 1169. And if you haven't heard this news, you're probably thinking, what do you mean it's going to be at Lumpinee Stadium? The card has been officially moved from Atlanta, the State Farm Arena to be specific, and it is now going to be taking place at Lumpinee Stadium in Thailand. We'll unpack that in just a second because I know that's a lot to deal with. It sure was when I found this news out, just like everyone else did via social media. Hence why this video probably looks a bit different to what you're used to seeing on this channel. It is quite late at night here in the UK. You can tell brain's not working too well. Wasn't planning on making a video. This setup is not really set up for recording this late at night, so everything looks a little bit differently. And I'm not going to do any editing to it in to try and get it out as quickly as possible. So I hope that's all right, and hopefully the video quality isn't too bad. At least I try at least to make it all right. So yeah, this is what we found out. Literally like 20 minutes ago at the time of recording this video, that 1169 is no longer be taking place in Atlanta. Let's check out the official statement from One, because that gives a little bit more insight. I initially found this news out. I was kind of, looking at a post I saw from Combat Sports Today. If you don't follow them on Twitter, they are great for MMA news across the board, One Championship news in particular. Go follow them. A post from them that said that the State Farm Arena website was listing 1169 as cancelled. I thought, that's peculiar. We'll wait a little bit, and I'm sure something will come out about that, because we have a One Championship event tonight, the day of recording this on October 4th. And I'm sure, we'll find out more details there. But yeah, it's already been, announced that it's going to be moved. It came out right after the State Farm Arena website showed that. And there is a statement from One Championship that was posted by my good friend, Mr. Nick Atkin, over on Twitter. So we will check that out here. He says 1169 has been cancelled from Atlanta and moved to Lumpinee. Statement from One Championship here. Tawanchai versus Joe Nattawa is off the card. We will get to that in just a minute. So this statement here. One made a successful return to the US on September 6th with 1168 Denver, nearly selling out the Ball Arena. Stuff about the live gate. Did very well. Looks like the State Farm Arena show was also going to do very well. The last time I looked at ticket sales, it was doing quite similarly to 1168. So I'm not sure how it would have actually panned out in the end, but looks like it was going to be another big event for them in terms of live gate numbers. And I'm sure attention as well from the kind of combat sports worldwide media. Though the organization was slated to return to America with 1169 Atlanta on November 8th, the event will now be moved to Bangkok due to partner obligations in Thailand. We'll get to that in a second. Let me finish the statement. All fans who purchase tickets to 1169 will receive a full refund via Ticketmaster. Fans can also sign up to exclusive access to discounted tickets to One's 2025 US events by clicking here, which I think is a smart play, and I like that a lot. 1169 in Bangkok's Lumpinee Stadium will still feature the blockbuster bout slated for the Atlanta card, including Anatoly Malakin versus Rugrug Omar Kane, Rodtang versus Jacob Smith for the flyweight Muay Thai title, and more. Tawanchai versus Smoking Joe Nattawa has been removed from the card due to injury. So let's talk about the reason this card has been moved. Partner obligations in Thailand. Now, I'm sure we're going to find out more about this. Again, this video probably in the next 24 hours is going to be out of date, because I imagine we'll have a lot more information to digest by that time. But I wanted to get an initial reaction kind of out here. And I'm sure we'll talk about it on Monday's episode of the One Report that will go up on this very channel. That would say to me, partner obligations in Thailand, that they maybe have a certain quota that they need to hit regarding shows at Lumpinee Stadium, you would imagine, and just a certain amount of live events in Thailand. I don't know if there was plans to do another show in Thailand at some point this year that then got cancelled, and that knock-on effect means the only show they've got coming up this year that they need to move is this card, because all the other cards, at the current time of recording this video, you would imagine will be in Thailand. We don't actually have locations for the upcoming fight nights, but I would imagine they will be in Lumpinee Stadium. And so this card is maybe the only one that could be moved. Again, the only reason I can think that this would be the case is that they were planning another event in Thailand that they're no longer going to be able to do. And so as a result, they've got to move a card, this being the only card that can be moved, because it is not in Thailand already. Because this can't have been an easy decision for One. I mean, not only was, putting on events in America, a huge priority for them, and 1168 did incredibly well for them. So clearly it works doing things that way. Let me flip the camera back there. And the simple fact of the matter is with this card, right? These fights that we know we're still going to have on the card, we at least have Malakin versus Rugrug and Rodtang versus Jacob Smith. They could probably sell out, when you look at one's kind of usual venues that they run. You have the Lumpinee Stadium ones that are both for Friday fights and for the one fight night cards, and then the numbered events tend to be somewhere else, a bigger arena. The last one, obviously, 1168 at the Ball Arena in Denver, 1167 before that, which I believe was at the start of June, if I'm not mistaken, June 7th, I want to say that was at the Impact Arena in Bangkok, and so that still allows them to do the events in Thailand, but it's a slightly bigger arena. I wonder if they tried to book the Impact Arena for that show, but like I said, it might be something to do with hitting a certain amount of quota for Lumpinee. That would be my guess. The Impact Arena is a lot bigger than Lumpinee Stadium. The State Farm Arena in Atlanta is like 3 times the capacity of Lumpinee Stadium. I believe Lumpinee Stadium is about 5,000, obviously give or take, depending on the ring and things like that. State Farm Arena, you're looking at upwards of 16,000. So they're going to lose a lot of money on this card because the likes of Rodtown, for example, are not cheap to book. Some of the fights they've announced for this card, again, not cheap to book. But of course, you want to pull out the big guns for Atlanta. The fact of the matter is, they don't really need to pull out the big guns in order to put on a successful show at Lumpinee Stadium. That's why when you get those big Impact Arena cards, they are now the numbered events. You had on that card earlier this year at 1167, you were supposed to have Stamp Fairtex, you had Tawanchai, you had Rodtang, plenty of draws on there in order to, accommodate for that bigger capacity and selling more tickets. Also, with the time difference, getting people to go early in the morning is a big part of that too. So this won't have been an easy decision for one. So that's why I think that this couldn't have been an oversight on their behalf where they just were like, oh, wait, we haven't done our calculations right. We can't actually do this. Maybe there was a period where they were trying to do it and trying to, the deal they had in place already, they were trying to negotiate with like, yeah, but we've already got this show booked in Atlanta. So, and eventually they cracked down and said, no, you're not running this show. We need another show in Bangkok. So that would be my guess. Again, pure speculation on my behalf. Like I said, I'm sure this video will be outdated within a few hours when we find out more details. The other part of this is, of course, people are going to get refunds for their tickets, which is kind of the bare minimum that you would imagine. So, if you had a ticket for that event, if you'd already booked travel and things like that, that sucks. This is the nature of the beast, right? These things happen. I know that, I know a few people who have been talking about going to these events and especially from where I am in the UK, or people traveling from Asia, even flights and accommodation in Atlanta is not cheap. So that is a tough pill to swallow, I am sure. For fight fans that were looking forward to tuning into this card, we do have, it looks like the card will stay together, so you will still get to see those fights that we have already spoken about on this very channel. Although, interestingly, it doesn't mention the 4th title fight that we had booked for this card, which was Christian Lee versus Alibeg Razilov for the lightweight title. So, again, I think we'll find this out at One Fight Night 25 later today. I'm sure they will mention it then in terms of giving more details on the current situation. And we've also found out that Tawanchai versus Smoke and Joe Natter will not be on the card. This was pretty obvious if you have been paying attention to what has been going on in One Championship at the moment. Literally the last week, Joe Natter fought Super Bon in the main event of One Friday Fight 68 and was stopped in the first round by elbows. So there was no way Joe Natter was then going to, get stopped by elbows in the first round, then go on to fight for the title. I don't even think he would have been able to even, make the turnaround, even if one had guaranteed him that fight in Atlanta. I don't think he would have been able to make the turnaround after being stopped in the first round. It looks like they will do Super Bon versus Tawanchai as a rematch at some point, but, Super Bon just fought Tawanchai. There was some stuff about him being injured for that Atlanta card, hence why they booked Super Bon versus Joe Natter instead of giving Joe Natter enough time to prepare. So I think that doesn't really... that isn't influenced by the fact this card is moving to not the Impact Arena, to Lumpinee Stadium. I don't think that fight would have happened either way. So that doesn't really change anything. But yeah, interesting to see whether all the fights are coming over onto this new location at Lumpinee Stadium, or whether it will just be those 2 big fights that we've had. Although it does say, what's the wording here? The blockbuster bout slated for that Atlanta card Malakin versus Rug for the heavyweight title, Rodtang versus Smith for the flyweight Muay Thai title, and more. So we'll see, I guess. Like I said, we'll find out more details on that, I am sure. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this news? Are you gutted? Were you planning on going to Atlanta? If you are, then I can only send my condolences. I'm sure that would have been a great trip. I'm sure One Championship, will be back in Atlanta in 2025, you would imagine. So hopefully you can at least get to that one. Thank you for checking out this video. If you're watching One Fight Night 25 tonight, enjoy the fights. I will see you Monday for the One Report as always. Peace.